The problem with frozen vegetables isn't that they're frozen, it's how they're made. Many vegetables are grown as fast as possible to meet production targets, rinsed quickly to keep things moving, and then sent straight through massive processing lines handling thousands of pounds every hour. When everything moves that fast, properly washing each batch becomes almost impossible. And even after freezing, whatever wasn't clean to begin with can still end up sealed inside the bag. I'm not saying this to scare you. This is just the perspective of someone who buys, cooks, and eats frozen vegetables pretty regularly. After comparing many different brands, I realized that not all frozen vegetables are the same, and when it comes to food, I always ask myself one simple question: is this something I'd feel comfortable eating over and over again? That's why in this video, I'm going to share 7 frozen vegetable brands I personally avoid using on a regular basis, and 2 brands I actually feel better about buying for my family. The first brand is Great Value from Walmart. I'm sure a lot of families have bought this brand before, and I have too. The reason is very simple. It's cheap and it's always available. But once I cooked it, the first thing I noticed was how much water the vegetables released, along with a smell that didn't feel very fresh and a pretty bland taste. It fills you up, but it doesn't really feel like you're eating high-quality vegetables. I'm not saying it causes any immediate problems, but when I think about using it regularly for my family, I don't feel comfortable, and that's why I don't buy Great Value anymore. After that, I tried Market Pantry from Target because the packaging looked clean and well put together. However, once I cooked it, the vegetables became soft very quickly and almost completely lost their flavor. I got the sense that the vegetables had been heavily processed before freezing, which took away that natural taste. It wasn't the worst frozen vegetable I've tried, but there was nothing about it that made me want to buy it again. That experience was when I started to realize that good-looking packaging doesn't always mean good quality on the inside. Bird's Eye is a familiar brand for many American families, so at first, I trusted it as well. The vegetables looked bright and appealing, with good color, but once I started eating them, I noticed the smell didn't really match what I expect from fresh vegetables. Eating it occasionally was fine, but when I had it more often, I found myself getting tired of it quickly and not feeling as comfortable afterward. From that experience, I realized that being a long-established brand doesn't necessarily mean the way it's made still matches today's standards. Green Giant, especially the Steamers line, is very convenient. You can just put the bag in the microwave and it's ready to eat. However, every time I open the bag after heating it, I notice a slight plastic smell. The product may meet safety standards, but personally, I'm not comfortable steaming vegetables directly in plastic, especially if it's something I would eat regularly. For me, convenience is one thing, but feeling comfortable about what I'm eating is another. I bought Kroger frozen vegetables quite a few times because they're easy to find and convenient. However, what I didn't like was the inconsistency in quality. Some bags were fine, while others were very bland and released a lot of water when cooked. I don't like having to guess whether the quality will be good or not each time I buy something. When it comes to food for my family, I always prefer reliability over taking chances. Signature Select was a brand I had higher expectations for, because the name suggests something carefully chosen. However, when I used it, the vegetables were often mushy and lacked any real crunch or freshness. It felt like the vegetables had been sitting around for a while before reaching consumers, and the actual experience didn't live up to what the brand name promises. Season's Choice from Aldi is very affordable, and I understand why many people choose it. However, the quality is inconsistent. Some bags are fine, while others are noticeably worse. I don't like the feeling of not knowing what I'll get the next time I buy it, so after a while, I decided to stop choosing this brand. After trying all of those brands, I started to think differently. I realized I wasn't looking for the perfect bag of vegetables. I just wanted something I wouldn't have to worry about every time I cooked. Something that felt clean, simple, and consistent. Once I looked at it that way, the number of brands I trusted became very small. And that's when a few frozen vegetable brands finally stood out for the right reasons. Not because they were cheap or convenient, but because they made me feel more comfortable using them again and again. The first one that did that for me was Cascadian Farm Organic. Trying many frozen vegetable brands changed how I looked at them. I stopped focusing on what was cheap or convenient and started paying attention to how the vegetables actually cooked. I wanted vegetables that held their shape, didn't release too much water, and smelled clean. Cascadian Farm Organic stood out quickly for those reasons. The vegetables stayed intact, cooked more like fresh ones, and had a mild, natural smell and taste. What I appreciated most was the consistency. Each bag felt the same. The price is a bit higher, but for me, that extra cost brings peace of mind when it's something I plan to eat regularly. Cascadian Farm helped me understand what better frozen vegetables should feel like, but I still wanted something I could use every day without thinking too much about it. That's when I started buying 365 Whole Foods Organic more often. What I like about it is how balanced everything feels. The vegetables don't release much water, there are no strange smells, and the texture stays firm enough to feel like real vegetables. Eating them doesn't leave me feeling heavy or uncomfortable. The price also feels reasonable compared to other organic brands, so I don't treat it like a special purchase. It's a brand I'm comfortable using several times a week, and if I had to choose one frozen vegetable brand to keep in my freezer long term, this would be it because it balances quality, comfort, and cost very well. Looking back at all of these brands, I've realized that the problem isn't whether food is labeled as luxury or not. The real issue is the gap between the image being sold and the actual experience of using it. When buyers clearly understand what they're paying for, choosing becomes much easier. Luxury itself isn't always the problem, but unclear luxury always is. If this video made you see expensive grocery items a little differently, feel free to share your experience. And if you'd like to keep taking a closer look at everyday products with me, don't forget to follow the channel.